Locked On Heat's on Twitter, Instagram. You can email us, lockedonheat@gmail.com. Rohan, where do you stand on the topic of trading Jimmy Butler?
I think that there are other organizations who would consider it because there's a way to build in the NBA, right? And that's building through acquiring draft picks, whether that's to use them or trade them. And you can look at the age difference between Jimmy and Bam. You could look at Jimmy's age and say, how many years can he keep playing at this level? The money owed to him on his contract. There are cogent arguments for it, especially with the complicated place the Heat will be in this summer. Like, if we really want to get into it, Lowry's going to be making a lot of money. Duncan still has multiple years left on his contract. Herro's extension kicks in. Bam's already playing under his extension. Those are 5 guys right there who are getting paid a lot of money for a team that we just talked about is average, is mediocre. Are they going to re-sign Gabe Vincent and Max Strus? You might say, let them walk. They're not that good. But you're already capped out, so how are you replacing them? Even if they haven't been that good, they're soaking up
another undrafted player. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's like, do you get another undrafted player? I mean, you can just replace him with a minimum guy. Your exceptions are only going to get you so far. Listen, they were in this place before, and I know Heat fans will get a little cocky about it. You know, Zach Lowe had that statement: the Heat are maybe in the worst position of any franchise in the NBA, and they end up getting Jimmy Butler and making the finals. The Jimmy Butler thing happened at the perfect moment for the Heat in terms of a star wanting out, his acrimonious relationship with the Sixers, and the fact that the asking price for a player of his caliber has changed a lot over the last few years. Like, the real reason the Heat couldn't get Donovan Mitchell, who would they have traded that the
exactly
Jazz would have been remotely interested in?
Exactly.
Because and I saw
they weren't beating that Cavs offer. They weren't beating whatever the Knicks had on the table. Period.
Certainly not. I mean, they aren't one of those teams that can say, here are 3 first-round picks, 2 swaps, and 4 young guys. Herro is I don't know how teams value him around the league because his defense is an issue for any contender in the playoffs.
Yeah, would he have taken the same leap that Lauri Markkanen has in Utah?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? And those things are all complicated. So I personally, I don't think the Heat should trade Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy and Bam can be the best 2 players on a title team. I think they're 2 top 20 players in the NBA when they're at their very best. And you have to find a way to make that work. But the Heat have just put themselves in a large part of this because Mickey Harrison doesn't want to pay the tax. I saw some Heat fans saying PJ Tucker is lying. He wouldn't have come back to Miami. PJ Tucker absolutely wanted to stay in Miami. There's no question about it. He got offered the biggest contract of his career at age 37. The Heat could have matched it, but they don't want to be hard capped. They don't want to pay the tax. So the Heat keep backing themselves into a corner in terms of how to build this team. And that's what's creating the issue. That's why the conversation about trading Jimmy Butler exists amongst some national media people, because the Heat
it's a viable path to get out of mediocrity, which is where they are now. And it's not option A. And I've said this before, and I won't relitigate it, but it's not option A. It's not option B. It's probably not option C, but it is an option. It's D, E, G, whatever you want to say it, but it's got to be on the table this offseason, depending on where things go. The other thing I'll say about the Miami Heat is, and I made this point the other day, you can make the argument that their roster has gotten worse since the bubble run to the finals. Like, the supporting cast around Jimmy Butler, you remove the development from Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo because that was going to happen. Like, just the other players around those guys has gotten worse. And that's not a great job by the front office. And to your point, they only got Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler forced his way out of Philadelphia, tried to direct himself to Miami, and the Heat traded Josh Richardson and some draft picks for him. And that was it. That was obviously, in retrospect, a complete steal. And the Heat have been hoping for that sort of scenario to play out again. But hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a team-building strategy. And it seems to be what Miami's team-building strategy is right now. And so if you're frustrated as a fan of what this front office has done, I think it's warranted. It doesn't mean that Pat Riley is washed or asleep or whatever. It just means that you can be critical of what has happened over the last 3 years, because I certainly have been. That said, we just mentioned Pat Riley. It is time for the Culturist Heat Culture Bracket. So here's the idea. Everybody on this bracket, it's not the best player, coach, whatever. It's got broadcasters on it. We're very excited about this. Who embodies Heat culture the most? What is Heat culture? That's kind of the fun in all this. We get to debate it. So let's just go ahead and reveal the first round of our first region, the Schenectady region. Number 1 seed, Pat Riley versus the number 32 seed, PJ Tucker, the one we just talked about. PJ, short-lived stint in Miami, but embodied everything about Heat culture while he was here. Pat Riley is Pat Riley. I think this one's pretty simple, guys.
Yeah, it's Pat. Are we doing this whole bracket today?
We're just going to do the first. We're just going to do this first round. We're not going to go all the way through. So what we're going to do, third segment every day. We're going to try to get to this every day between now and however long it's going to take. We're going to do another round of each region every day, third segment of the show. So a reason for our listeners to keep tuning in until the third segment every day.
Well, this one's easy. We got Pat Riley. Let's not.
Pat Riley.
I say this is.
Can we make an argument for PJ Tucker though?
No, because we don't have that much time, David.
I wanted PJ Tucker's jersey to be retired during the playoffs last year, so no one needs to. Yes, but it's Pat Riley. He created this.
He defines Heat culture. Yeah. Like I get it. I'm just saying, like, all right. Oh, wait, are we doing all 16 of these now?
We're gonna do this whole first round. We're not just doing Pat Riley and PJ Tucker. That's no fun. We're gonna get through all of these.
Why don't we split it? Let's split it. I know we probably should have had this conversation off air, but I think we're kind of slapping it all together.
Pre-production.
Let's do 4 brackets now, and then kind of split it over the course of the month.
Our next matchup: Andy Elisburg versus LeBron James. David, what do you think?
This is a tough one because, Andy Elisburg, behind the scenes, his name has been, I think, out in the media a lot. There's that picture after the Nikola Jokic incident there that's gone viral. I don't know that a lot of people associate him necessarily as a carrier of Heat culture, but he's been with the team for so long.
Yeah, let's give the brief bio there, so people that maybe aren't as locked into what's going on with Andy Elisburg in the Heat.
They did an Inside the Heat episode of him recently. Like, he was an intern, right? And he had like this
in the PR department, wasn't he?
Yeah,
or marketing.
And he's worked his way up the whole time. Like he's been a part of it. So, but LeBron James is LeBron James, and he helped secure Miami's winningest era and throughout its whole history. So there's a lot to be said there. But I think my personal argument is that LeBron left because he didn't necessarily appreciate Heat culture, at least the way he perceived it to be, versus Elisburg, who has worked his way up from the bowels of the American Airlines Arena to become one of the top executives in the front office. Nobody's more culture than
David is the front office version of the Eric Spoelstra story. That's what Andy Elisburg is. Yeah,
David is taking this bracket seriously, huh? He's
that's all we do here.
He's got breakdowns, brother. He's
Where are you going with us then?
What do you want to say?
I'm looking at 2 names and I'm picking one. Okay, that's what I'm doing, and I'm picking Andy Elisburg. That's it. Do I need to give you an explanation?
If you're picking Andy Elisburg, who is relatively anonymous to most people who even follow the NBA, even like semi-regularly, you're picking him over the greatest scorer that the NBA has ever seen. I think it does deserve an explanation.
Who's still with the Miami Heat? I mean, who's?
That's a good argument.
He's a lifer.
I thought I was going to have to. He is a lifer. I'm going Andy Elisburg too, and to me, I'm with Rowan. Actually, I don't think it's all that close.
Do you think Andy Elisburg would ever be accused of having a smiling face and hidden agenda?
Of course not. I don't know that I've ever seen him smile.
I have.
You've seen Andy Elisburg smile?
Absolutely.
Brag. All right.
I didn't think that was a bragging part, but yeah.
Goran Dragic versus Rony Seikaly.
Goran Dragic.
This one's pretty easy, David.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm sure most of our listeners and viewers probably don't even remember who Rony Seikaly is.
Oh, come on. Really?
Who the hell knows who the spin doctor is?
They talk about him on the broadcast.
They talk about him being a goddamn DJ. Too. That's what they talk about. Yeah. Okay. They don't talk about
the DJ guy. Yeah. Culture.
The Greek rebounder.
What is he over at Sandbar this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Oh wow. Wow, that's rough. Sandbar. Man, you see, that's the kind of context under which he spoke about, and that's insulting. But no, he was a great player at his time there. But I think the perception there, maybe there was a little bit of anti-European sentiment behind it. But at least from what I remember of those early years of Rony Seikaly, it was that he was kind of soft, right? And that was the era of the big man too, the 80s and 90s, and he wasn't necessarily challenging the same way, and he wasn't as physical as all these other guys. So And then he also was traded before Pat Riley even joined the organization. So I don't think you could look to him as being a part of Heat culture, because I don't think there was a Heat culture.
So you're saying I shouldn't even had him on the bracket? That was a
Yeah.
No. It's a fine name.
I'm saying that. I'm saying that he shouldn't have even been on the bracket.
Well, you come up with 32 names.
And that Goran Dragic played on 1 foot in the NBA Finals.
It's Goran Dragic. It's no doubt. Goran Dragic is Heat culture as much as I think he's actually seated too low on this. And I say that as the person who seeded everything.
Yeah.
But Goran Dragic this is easy. This is whatever Alabama is doing to whoever they're playing right now. Shaquille O'Neal versus Chris Bosh. This one is kind of interesting. Can I give you the Shaq argument?
Yeah, sure.
So my theory on Heat culture, as amorphous and undefinable as it is that every big personality character who has impacted winning in a major way that has come through the Miami Heat organization has taken whatever it is that Pat Riley laid down as the foundational principles of that team and that organization. Every single one of these people came through and changed it and tweaked it just a little bit and changed Heat culture to have it reflect a little bit of their own personality and their own influence and all these kinds of things. And that includes Shaquille O'Neal, because prior to Shaq, the Heat were not a star place. They were not prior to Shaq, they were not viewed as Star Islands on South Beach, Miami. They were viewed as the Pat Riley, Schenectady little thing going on down in new franchise. That's fun.
Yeah, Knicks
Alonzo Mourning, like all that kind of like. They didn't win. They had no championships. Shaq comes, delivers them their first championship, and embraces sort of the celebrity of everything. And I don't think that the Heat get LeBron and Chris Bosh and even re-sign Dwayne Wade if not for Shaq arriving in 2006. And I think when we think about Heat culture, we think about knee pads and blood and most hated team and disgusting team in the league. But a big part of the Miami Heat culture
disgusting team in the league.
A big part of the Miami Heat culture is also star power.
Is that written in Championship Alley somewhere? Most disgusting
you know what?
Team in the
you
league?
know what?
Yeah, it should be.
Wes has convinced me. I think Wes has convinced me.
Me too.
I think Shaq pulls off a massive upset.
Oh, the big Shaqarella or something like the big fairy tale. I could just imagine. Yeah, the Cinderella sleeper. Shaqarella. I
didn't say I was going to vote for Shaq. That's just my argument. I might
know.
I think
Shaq
it was
now.
convincing, Wes. Like I don't think you've ever been as convincing about any point.
It's
and it's
right.
That I don't
David's
think.
Right. It was the first time I wasn't.
Yeah.
It was the first time I wasn't actively annoyed by Wes. It was, yeah.
You're right.
I think, Shaq wins. Shaq wins.
There is no Heat culture without the spotlight that he brought with him from Los Angeles. I mean, that's the whole thing.
So true.
Yeah. Great job, Wes.
Shaq.
We end on a positive note. Yeah. Sorry,
so in the
Chris.
next round, we'll see. So we'll complete the rest of this Schenectady side part of the region on our next episode. But I guess to look forward to the next part of this part of the bracket, we'll have Pat Riley versus Andy Elisburg. Ooh. Front office drama.
Yeah. It's like the movie Warrior where the two brothers fight each other in the final.
That's
just
what
like that is. Yeah.
Yep. It's just like that. And then Goran Dragic versus Shaquille O'Neal.
Two Phoenix Suns legends. Goran Dragic versus Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq were teammates. Yeah. That's right.